Alright, I'm going to polish this plastic. It's you can see where it's severely scratched. It's just this whole thing here pretty much is scratched, especially down here, especially down through here. And this was a Simply Lemonade plastic bottle. It's flexible plastic. You can see how clear it is on this side. It's not that badly scratched, but on this side over here, it's really been scratched. This scratch was done with 220 grit sandpaper. I'm going to wet sand this through here. I'm going to wet sand this down here with 2000 grit sandpaper, and then I'm going to polish it with this right here, Meguiar's plastic cleaner and polish. That's not the original bottle. The Meguiar's plastic cleaner come in. I broke the original bottle and it busted, so I had to. It was a plastic bottle, so I just poured it in this water bottle, which has so far held it pretty good. Okay, I'm going to wet sand it, and here's the 2000 grit sandpaper. It's 3M sandpaper. So let me get this a little bit wet. I'm going to wet this right here. Okay. I'm going to turn this camera down.
Key things that were used that we sent back to the lab would include such things as obviously the frame of the gun.
Okay.
The frame of the gun had been recovered by the local police, and they had done tool mark analysis that had
Here we go.
been able to show who took the gun apart. The gun frame was sent back to the firearms.
All right, I'm going to wipe it off.
Comparative microscopes allow for precise analysis of the gun barrel. But the most valuable asset in the lab are the agents whose long experience.
I'm going to get this stuff off here. It's polish grit. The sandpaper grit. I'm going to get the sandpaper grit off there, and the small particles of plastic off there, and I'm going to polish on it. I'm going to sand on it. I'm going to sand on it again with this 2000 grit sandpaper. We'll get the sandpaper wet again. Put some water on that, wipe it off. I've heard some of this plastic is toxic, and if it goes in the ground, it can pollute the water that seeps in the ground because the chemicals in the plastic. I hope that's not true. So I guess if the plastic was to get in the ground, you would have to put something, you'd have to chase the plastic with something like something to dilute the chemicals in it. I don't know what that would be. Could be dishwashing detergent, I don't know. But something you'd have to put in the ground to follow the plastic and to kill the poison in the plastic so it doesn't pollute the water in the ground. Now when you're polishing this, well, when you're sanding it, you have to, when you're sanding this plastic, you have to hold the sandpaper in one spot for so many seconds to really grind down in there and smooth it out and get the scratches out of it. This is faster if you have a rotary powered tool to do it, spinning against it at RPMs. And when you're polishing plastic, you can't polish it so hard to where it gets too hot, because if it gets too, plastic is not like metal. Of course, you know that you can't get plastic that hot because it will melt through it, and also will scratch it too. Okay, so you can see I've done mostly sanded in this area right here. So we'll sand it a little bit more. 2000 grit sandpaper. Okay, that'll do it. I think that'll do it pretty well. And I'm gonna dry it off and show you what it looks like when it's dry.
1/16 of an inch impression, almost as if it was made by a small squeezer tip right below that hole. This tiny mark matched a small imperfection in one of Walton's tools. In looking at the tool,
So there's what it looks like dry,
I noticed that one of those tools
and you can see where I've sanding it right there.
in the middle, and then there was a small island of metal left on it too, and that
You can barely see you can barely see a kind of a clear spot right here. And if you look and see my finger, you can see where my finger's moving. You can see it even better.
with the impressions
see.
that were on the frame, and was able to come to a conclusion that that particular tool was used to exclusion of any other tool to make the marks that were found on the frame.
Okay, now I will wet polish it.
The FBI lab conducted extensive testing of the particular bullets found in the Gwaltney home. The lack of a barrel on Gwaltney's gun made a ballistic
Oh.
test impossible, a problem that had hurt the prosecution in the state trial. So the FBI lab
So I'm going to get it wet again.
never before been used forensically, a radical new use of nuclear technology in forensic science.
I'm going to polish it with this.
Manufacturer of lead like Remington Arms makes a batch of lead. They throw things in much as you would when you're making meatloaf. That makes each batch of lead unique. We then took over 200 rounds that the local
All right.
when they did their investigation during Fire Gwaltney. We submitted those to the lab. The lab made those radioactive and got their molecular weight, their chemical fingerprint. And lo and behold, we find approximately 27 rounds that are the exact
This is flexible plastic, so it's not, it's not very,
head of our victim.
it's not very tough plastic. This is flexible plastic. This this lemonade jug is.
An atomic fingerprint. The radioactive tests were in the fuel. Each of the 27 bullets found in Gwaltney's closet, bullets he had sworn on the road he did not own, had come from the same batch of lead as the bullet that killed Robin Fisher. Additionally, Agent Randolph constructed psychological portraits of not only George Walton, but Robin Fisher.
Here I'm talking about cops on TV, a program called Escape. Find out that on tonight's program on this, they're talking about a cop that killed a woman. All right, now I'll wipe it off, and I'll
Made it very easy to understand the lack of force
dry it off and see what it looks like.
other than the trauma. She was compliant. She
Get all the plastic particles, all those tiny plastic cream particles off of it that's come off, that's been polished and sanded off of it.
In the same way, the FBI examined every aspect of Walton's background to gain an understanding of his behavior around women.
All right, you can see it there. It's a little bit clearer than what it was.
For sex. The same exit to the access road where he was taken rather
You can see my finger moving through it. So it's just a little bit clearer.
summons from Walton in the last 2 years was contacted, and a pattern emerged. Nearly a dozen women claimed that Walton had solicited them for sex or touched them suggestively.
This indicated to us that this was not an
But now, I think I'll sand it and polish it again. Only this time, I'm going to use
put his uniform on.
Trizac
He became predatory.
3000 grit sandpaper.
Was our conclusion.
Now this is Trizac. This is 3M Trizac sandpaper. I'm going to wet sand it with that. That's this right here. We'll see what this does. Let's see how well the Trizac sands it. I don't have much time. Now this is 3000 grit sandpaper, which should bring it out a little bit smoother. Okay. Wipe it off. Dry it off. Now I'll polish it again. I'll wet polish it again. All right, wipe it off. I'll dry it off and let you see what it looks like. This is much faster and much easier with a rotary powered tool when you're polishing when you're cleaning and polishing scratches out of plastic. You know, and I think the reason for that is because plastic does not stay warm as long as metal does. So when you're polishing metal heats up, and metal stays warm, and it gets hotter and hotter and hotter when you're polishing metal. So when you're polishing metal, you know, the metal is going to stay hotter and longer. So it makes it much more easier to polish it and sand it, as to where plastic cools down very fast. Okay, now there it is. It's dry, and you can see that it's pretty much, you know, there's a clear spot in it there. You can see my finger on the other side. Okay. So there's a clear spot. Got it a little bit clear. It would have lasted much faster